Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, guys, wherever you're watching from. Game week 4 is upon us. We are here. We are here. It's going to be the final deadline stream as well for quite some time for me, so I'm hoping this one's going to go well. But how are we doing? Welcome to everybody in the chat. Abdullah, Arman, GV, Adrian, hello. As you can see, the move has already been made by myself. I have done Matoma to Madison. It is confirmed. We are locked in and ready to go, boys, pretty much. How are we all doing? Leaning towards a surprise Bowen move, says Abdullah. Very interesting. What do you think about the medium term with him, though, buddy? What do you think about the medium term fixtures? They're a little bit tricky, aren't they? GV says Madison, Sterling, and Burma and Foden tweets were too much. Every other tweet is talking about this. You're not wrong, sir. It's the battle of the midfielders this week, isn't it, really? But owning two of them, I must say, feels very good. Owning both Madders and Foden this week feels very, very good. Armand says he's got 2 transfers this week. He's already done Martinelli to Madison. Very good. I think that's a very positive move, mate, personally. I think that's a very positive move. I can actually see there being a few goals here, though, with the Arsenal United game. I mean, it's hard to say who's going to be involved with everything, but Martinelli's numbers just haven't been there, have they, bud? This is the point. I think this is the week to sell him. Hiya, Seb. Well, welcome to the stream, my friend. Turner versus Onana this week. You're really rating Forest defence, and you're a Chelsea fan. Delaying your Jackson transfer in this week. Very interesting. I think that's a fair judgment, though, Adrian. I mean, Jackson didn't exactly impress so much last week to the point where he's a must-own. I do still like Chelsea's fixtures, though. For what it's worth, in terms of Forest, their defensive numbers are looking really strong so far this season. I think they're about midway through the table in terms of expected goals conceded, which is good. They're improving very well this season. You've got a feeling he's a good 1 week punt, and in game week 5, you're just going to bench Bowen and start him against Liverpool in game week 6 and against Everton. I mean, that's not too bad of a shout, I guess. If you've got plans to be able to rotate him in and out, I guess that's not too bad. Well, I hope it works out for you, mate, because I do think he's got a very strong week against Luton ahead of him. You're considering Rashford to Sterling, so you can own all of Foden, Maddison, and Sterling. That's from Arman. Very interesting. I think for me personally, Rashford is a hold this week. I know we haven't seen the best of the United boys yet. Of course, Bruno Fernandes hauling with a double digit last week helps. Maybe the argument to keep him longer term, but I just think this Arsenal fixture suits him, especially if Arteta sticks to his guns with playing Partey at right back. I honestly can't see Rashford not getting at least a brace. I just feel like this is such a dangerous game week to sell him, in my opinion. I know on paper the fixture is hard, but I feel like just from a footballing perspective, this is Rashford's prime setup. Any Akanji news? I believe there was a kind of bit of both, Lazio. I think there was a knock and illness, so it was a bit of both. I don't think there's any solid news, though, to say he starts. How are we doing, Sportcat? Welcome, my friend. All good that you won't be here for long, my friend. All just you coming in to say hi is enough. Hope you're doing well, bud. Said while you went early, Trossard to Mbermo, and now contemplating a hit for Martinelli to Madison. But you have other fires to ask your thoughts on. Fire away. Put them in the chat, mate. Let's see what we can do for you. FPL Seb, hello, my friend. Welcome to the stream. You think you only have one move in mind, so Matoma to Madison. This is the exact move that I've obviously put on screen, my friend. So, yeah, don't hate it. I think Brighton have this really tricky run now. They've got, a very interesting Bournemouth fixture coming up, but beyond that, there's European fixtures to contend with and all sorts of problems for them that could cause us some rotation headaches as well. So I think Matoma out now is a good week to get rid of him. Gavardio is benched, apparently. Interesting. I mean, I think I saw a couple of different predicted lineups, and Gavardio didn't make it into those lineups. Very interesting. But then, this is the thing when you bring in City players. I mean, I got really fortunate with those Foden points last week, let's be honest. That cheeky assist, he looked great when he come on, by the way, in that last 5 minutes of the game, but really lucky to get that. I know this wasn't really, pet roulette as such. It was an illness, but this is always the danger with City players. You wish you could own 6 mids this week. I think you're not alone on that, mate. You're not alone on that front. There's just so many good options, right? How are we doing, Seth? Welcome to the stream, my friend. Abdullah, yeah, Dan, that was so cheeky. Yeah, it was just, I don't know. It wasn't even really a proper assist, right? It was like a miscontrolled pass to Rodri. I just felt so fortunate. You agree Matoma to Madders is a good move. You heard somewhere Matoma just one shot on target so far. Not sure if he's only had one shot on target. I can have a look at the stats, but I know that his numbers are consistent. I think he's got something like 0.75 expected goal involvement, so he's pretty up there. Matoma's very good at carrying the ball. He's very good at getting into the box, and that's always a danger because defenders don't like tackling in the box. So he draws penalties, he draws fouls. He is a very, very good asset to own. It's just in the medium term, we don't know what's going to happen with Brighton's rotation with Europe on the line, and also the fact that their fixtures in the Prem aren't particularly very good to warrant holding him. So I just think it makes the most sense to sell him. Seb, I think we've got a very, very similar team, mate. So I'm not going to go into full detail of your team on the stream. I think the advice for this game week is we've already spoken about it. I think Matoma to Maddison is a solid move. I've made that move. It's just very difficult to warrant anything else, I think. We've got very, very similar teams at this point. So it's hard not to back my own decisions, I suppose, for you as well. Gvardio look nailed on. Looks really tough to triple up on City this season. I think it's always been hard to triple up on City, if I'm honest. It's very difficult. GV says, would it be that Martinelli scores a goal amidst all the selling that's been happening? Probably. This is kind of his time, and maybe with Gabriel Jesus coming back, maybe there's a change in Arteta's system again, and we see Gabriel dropping deeper, Martinelli running in behind. This is what he's been good at. It's just the 8 million price tag. I don't think he's warranted his stats at the moment. How are we doing, Harry? Welcome to the stream, my friend. Do I think João Pedro plays this week knowing that Welbeck is injured? I mean, he's got a higher chance now of playing because 2 of his competitions in Enciso and Welbeck are both injured. So I do think he's got a higher probability of starting now. I mean, it wasn't really much in it last week, though, right? Because both him and Matoma in the end ended up scoring 1 point for you. I think you started Matoma, or did you start JP? I can't remember. I know you had one of you guys had this dilemma last week. Abdullah, Matoma looked good. He hit the bar last week. Indeed, he's always looked very sharp. I think it's just now, like I say, the fixtures and the congestion of the fixtures. Just I don't think they're appealing for Brighton assets. Should we talk about Group F of Champions League? What a group that is, indeed, my friend. There's a lot of very, very interesting groups that have appeared. I mean, have you seen Arsenal's group? I think I saw FPL Mate tweet out that it was like, I didn't think Arsenal were playing on Thursday nights anymore, because it really does look like a Europa League group. So I think they've definitely got one of the easiest. Rashford's XG looks underwhelming even if he played on the left. I do agree with that. I do agree that his stats aren't as good at the moment. You think Arteta will return to starting Ben White at right back, and you're not confident that Rashford will return? I think that's a fair assessment. I mean, I'm hoping that he does replicate what he did last season, and he does, continue to exploit them. I think I could see Saka going massive as well. By the way, without Luke Shaw in the team, I know Reguilon's come in now for United. Whether or not he's match fit and match ready though is a different question. I certainly rate Reguilon as an attacking fullback, but I'm not too sure about his defensive capabilities. I was very confident with Luke Shaw against Saka before. So I think both wingers really on either side can do very, very well. Seb, while your main fires are in defence, you've got Shaw and Gabriel. You was going to play Baldock, although you're not sure he starts. Yeah, he's been linked with the move to Greece, isn't he? Could do a hit for the defender then, but feels like the upside is with Martinelli to Madders. I would agree with that. I think what you could possibly do is you could take the punt that you start Baldock and then you just put like whoever your first sort of defensive possible substitution is, right? Whether you've got a 4 million playing defender, right? Because you're playing Bulldog, aren't you? So that is the 4 million. I think you just put Gabriel first bench, and then maybe just hope United don't score and Gabriel plays. But the upside, I agree with you, is always in the attacking area of the pitch. I mean, I've already lost 0.2 million on Gabriel. He's third bench option. I couldn't honestly care less that he's there. It's just, it doesn't matter. The simple fact is, I've already got the L that, you know, the Saliba owners, they won basically in that short term. So that was it, really. I just don't see any need to move him out immediately. Offered, wow, Salah's been offered 170 million. Crazy money, honestly. Saudi League is just going ham in it for players. Really good point, Armin, about throttling Rashford. Yeah, I do agree with it. I think if Arteta changes his system, it certainly could hamper Rash's returns. That was easy. Matoma to Maddison done. Yeah, nice and simple, I think, this week, Seb, to be honest, mate. So you're choosing between a -4 for Maddison or for a defender, or no hit and hope Martinelli scores. I don't think it's a bad fixture for Martinelli. It's just that his data's been really underwhelming so far. I can see your point about fires being put out, but again, it always goes back to the same thing, that when you take a hit, that -4 needs to be recovered pretty quickly, right? Seb, you said it's only in game week 4, but you're already 341k, and you remember your last season. Now I can say that I'm really proud of my team. I think, honestly speaking, to start off the way you have, and multiple people in this community have, I think it's very, very well done. There's, I would say it's probably better, like from game week, I would say 6 or 7 is when you can maybe start judging how well you're doing, because the ranks are still very, very condensed. You know, major green arrows and major red arrows, there aren't really much, but there isn't really much in it. Hey Tanoki, welcome to the stream. You've lost 0.3 on the defenders, but you're up thanks to other price rises. And this is the point, Sebwar, that I just think that ultimately there's just other areas of the pitch that we can improve on to get the most points. I just see Maddison outscoring Matoma this week. However, I'm not too sure about, let's say, for example, you wanted to take a -4 from Gabriel to Udogie. Like, is he really going to score more than 6 points? That 12-pointer last week was very strong, yes, but he's not going to do that every week. So again, it's just in isolation, what is that -4 really worth? Is Sterling a must-pick? I don't think he is, Armin. This is my personal view on him. I think his data is okay. It's pretty good, but I chose Maddison because I think he's more consistent. Everything's flowing through him from a Spurs attacking point of view, whereas Chelsea have multiple outlets, I suppose, from an attacking point of view. He's not going to score 19 points every week. Although his performance against Luton and West Ham were very, very good. You want the Arsenal Man United game to be high scoring, GV, as as you will be playing free from them. Yeah, absolutely. Same for me. 3 attackers ultimately in that game for me. Seth, should you worry about what your mini league rival is doing at this point? Absolutely not, mate. Absolutely not. Like, there's just so much time remaining. Like, we've only had 3 game weeks so far. Just literally play the game your way. Just keep faith, keep patient. Remember to just... The thing is with FPL, there's multiple ways that you can play it, right? That's the ultimate goal. Is that, yes, you want to have fun with it, but if you know, the reality is you can be very, very data analytical. You can go deep diving into that. Sometimes people just watch the games and decide to make their moves based on eye tests. There is no really wrong way to play. Just as long as you keep consistent in how you're making your decisions, I think that's all I can really advise to you. But I don't think you should worry about them at this point. You think Salah will leave before the 7th of September and Liverpool will have no chance to sign a replacement for him? Yeah, isn't that because their window closes? Saudi is a little bit later. I'm not sure he goes this season. I think he'll go next year. You see Maddison and Sterling getting 3-pointers each. Potentially, it can happen. It's just typical FPL, isn't it, that the biggest debate of the week ends up being that they equal each other anyway. Can't argue about Maddison's XGI numbers. This is the point. He's on every set piece except for penalties, because you'd expect Richarlison to probably take them. So, you know, the reality is he's got many more routes to points than Sterling has. That's my kind of philosophy with it. Seb, okay, so what do you think about this team? Pickford, Chilwell, Udogie, same backline as me. Maddison, Saka, and Burmo, Bruno, Foden. So you've only got a slight difference in the fact that you've got in Burmo, I've got Rashford. Haaland and Jackson and Archer as first sub. We're basically mirrored, except for Mbeumo and Rashford. So very strong, mate. Harry, should you make a double transfer and bring in both Maddison and Sterling for Matoma and Rashi or Bruno? Or should you just bring in one of them for Matoma and start JP up top? It's a good question. I'm just not too sure that I want to sell the United boys, as mentioned. Like, I have got maybe a little bit of bias there because I'm a supporter of them, of course. I'm just not sure this is the week to sell them. Maybe I'm going to get caught in this loop where I'm like, it's not the right week, it's not the right week. And then before you know it, our fixtures swing back in our favour. So maybe I'm just going to keep going on. But I do like just the Matoma to Maddison move. I think that's got the most upside. Eze, yeah, as well. Don't sleep on Eze. Armin just mentioning that. Might go Eze because Wolves have just lost Nunes, who's such a key player for them. Agreed. He's a very, very strong differential. Abdullah, you know they are both good and numbers are good, but you've still got a feeling they will both blank. Listen, sometimes you just got to go with your gut, right? You think you just want to get a City defender instead of Estepinian in the future. It's another possibility as well. Could always look at a Newcastle defender as well, maybe. Who would you go for a City defender, though, Seb? Just out of curiosity. Ruben Diaz, maybe? Would you think he's the most nailed? GB, Salah will not be allowed to leave. No Salah, no FPL. Yeah, I mean, I think he leaves next season. I can't see him going this year, if I'm honest. How are we doing, Samuel? Welcome to the stream, my friend. Seth, is Eze being overlooked this week? I do think he is, yeah. I mean, he's firmly on my watch list and my radar. I think that if I was an owner of him from the beginning, I wouldn't have sold him. I know some managers lost patience and faith in him, but I think his numbers are really fantastic. He seems to be all over everything for Palace, to be honest, in terms of set pieces. We expect him to take penalties. There's just, yeah, there's so much upside, I think, to owning him. It's just, for me, how do I fit him in? The only way that I go with somebody now is if Rashford gets sold to an Mbeumo or Eze. It's very difficult to fit as many midfielders in that we want this year. You'd go for Diaz for the City defender. Yeah, I think that's right. I think I agree with that. I think the others just have that small rotation risk. Although, saying that, Kyle Walker's just been given the armband, right? So Kyle Walker, maybe he's going under the radar a little bit. I think he's only 5.1. Transfer window has been a beast so far the best so far in the last decade. Yeah, it's been very, very interesting. Lots has happened today as well, right? You've said a lot of times that he is the best centre-back in the world right now, and you think he'll play almost every game. I can't really argue with that, to be honest. Do you think... I don't actually know the reasons of it last season, Seb, but with you being a City fan, was it just because... Did he just pick up an injury halfway through the season? Because he didn't feature as much as he did in the first season with City last year. Akanji and Walker equally good. Yeah, I think Walker's definitely a sleeper pick. Had some good chances against Sheffield United as well. Could have had an assist. Had a shot on goal, I think, at one point, although it was always rising a little bit. Luke Horsfield, thoughts on Foden? Mate, I absolutely love him for this game week. I think there's just no way that I feel like he misses this game. I was almost certain he weren't going to miss Sheffield United, but it was down to illness rather than Pep Roulette. I just can't see a world where he doesn't play against this Fulham side. He looked so fantastic against Newcastle, sorry. And even in the 5 minutes cameo after being sick, he still came on and made a difference to City to essentially ultimately get them to win that game. So I really do feel like he has to start. He's a fantastic player. You've done the transfer Martinelli to Maddison, said, well, I think long term it pays off. Hoping it can even pay back this week. Good luck, my friend. Liking it. Will Ward, who would you bench, Estepinian or Rashford? I think I'd bench Estepinian. Always back the attacker. Early FPL flop list is Stones, Gabriel, Son, João Pedro, Martinelli. Indeed. They're not completely avoids, though, in terms of future transfers, in my opinion. But let's keep an eye on them. Walker is 5.2. Okay, so he's already risen. Definitely going under the radar, though. I do agree with that. If you go Eze this week, Seth, over Madders or Sterling, you can afford Gabriel to Trippier next week. Should you just go one of the main two? I mean, I originally had plans to bring Trippier in. I was talking about how it was important to have that 2 million in the bank. I've now only got 0.8, so I can't actually get can't get Trippier anymore. And I think I had a bit of second thoughts with him. I'm not sure he's going to put the same output that he did last season, especially with that Champions League group now, guys. Like, he's the captain of Newcastle. That Champions League group looks really suspect. So I'm thinking maybe Botman or a cheaper Newcastle defender, if we want to cover them, is maybe better than Trippier. So I don't think you should judge it entirely on that Gabriel to Trippier move. I think just go for the better pick that you think is going to score you the most points in midfield, Seth, if I'm honest. Samuel, you have Martinelli, Saka, Matoma, Fernandes, Rashford in your midfield, but you want to bring in Sterling or Maddison for Martinelli. Is it worth swapping Matoma for Mbeumo? I mean, if you've got your two free transfers there, I don't mind that. I think selling Martinelli for Sterling or Maddison is good. And I think Matoma for Mbeumo as well is very good. Not only short term, but just there's no Europe to contend with for Brentford, right? We know that Matoma is a possible rotation risk. Seb, yeah, he picked up an injury, I think, before the World Cup or during the World Cup, so he missed a lot of games. I thought so, because I felt like he had such a phenomenal first season for you guys, and then he just seemed to just disappear. So that does make a lot of sense. Walker kept bombing on the overlap against Newcastle and Sheffield United, double-digit haul incoming. I could honestly see it, mate. I think he looks really, really strong. Abdullah with Polina possibly leaving Fulham now. He's already gone, isn't he, I think? They can concede 5 to 7 goals, in my opinion. Well, mate, Leno had an absolute worldy game, I think, against Arsenal. So if it wasn't for his save points and his ability, then I think Fulham would have conceded a lot more. Harry, thoughts on this team? Johnston, Chile, Estu, Udogie, Foden, Bruno, Saka, Maddison, JP, Jackson and Haaland. Yeah, very strong, mate. Of course, Johnston is a short-term worry. I think he plays game week 4. I don't think Dean Henderson comes in straight away, but just something to think about, that maybe we need to... maybe you need to adjust your goalkeeper at some point. But honestly, that team looks very, very solid. Estepinian in the short term as well could be a possible out. Eze is due. Maybe it's this week, GV. Absolutely agree. Reason I don't have Sterling, I just measured the metrics, I suppose. I just had a look at the stats between Maddison and Sterling and just preferred Maddison. It's just that's it, Samuel. There's nothing more to it than that. Football 2000. Hey, would you start Estepinian or Udogie? I'd definitely start Udogie over Estepinian. Armand Trippier always ends up on top of the bonus points list, even if Newcastle lose, though. So in your opinion, he's a little bit of an overrated pick. I mean, I think if you're determining your transfers this week just on Trippier, I think it's too isolated. I mentioned it last week because I said I was kind of trying to justify or explain how looking ahead is always important, but it shouldn't always be based on one player coming in. So I could have gone Sterling and had the money to probably upgrade Gabriel to Trippier, maybe with some price adjustments, right? But I decided to go for who I thought was the better pick this week and for the longer term. I'm not really worried about not owning Trippier. So, yeah, I think there's other routes to the Newcastle defence that would probably equal Trippier's output. You've got 2.4 million right now, but you've got to make a decision to either go Trippier or go Watkins in the future, or do Trippier and use a wild card in game week 9 and bring Aston Villa players in. I mean, I think the thing is with Watkins is that don't let Diaby go under the radar for you, because I think at 6.6 million, he's a lot cheaper than Watkins, and he seems like he could be on par with him. Remember, he's going to get an extra point for every goal. He's going to get a clean sheet point as well because he's in the midfield, and he's very cheap. So maybe Watkins isn't as essential as you think he is from game week 8 onwards. So something to think about. You're 95% locked in to go Rashford to Eze, but you'll have 3.3 in the bank. That's not a bad thing. Money isn't as important this season, that's for sure. Junior Gaming, welcome to the stream, my friend. Would I do a -4 Matoma to Mbeumo? Already did a transfer to get Madders. I'm not sure I would do a -4. It's a very good fixture for Mbeumo, though, and it's difficult for Matoma. That's a really close call. I'm really not a fan of hits this early on. That's my only problem with it. But I really can see Mbeumo still kicking on. Sorry, I know you've come here for advice, Junie, but honestly, I think this is such a close call. Both of their numbers are very, very strong, so it's just entirely up to you. Like, if you want to take the punt that Mbermo outscores Matoma by at least 4 points, then I think in the medium term anyway, you've got a better pick in Mbermo. So that's how I think you'd probably have to weigh it up. Just mentally prepare yourself for Mbermo to blank, Matoma to blank, and then just hope that Mbermo outscores Matoma in the short term, short to medium term. That's the best advice I can give, really. Sammy, you're wanting to bring in Jackson, but you'd rather just keep Watkins, definitely not taking a hit. No, I don't think Watkins out is worth a hit against a shaky Liverpool side without Van Dijk as well. Like, I can definitely see Watkins kicking in. You know, he hasn't scored this season yet, but he's done so well to tick over with assists and so on. He's definitely due something as well. Abimanu has 2 free transfers, Matoma to Sterling and Roll, or Rashford and Matoma to Salah and a 4.5 mid. Don't think I'm interested in Salah personally. With all the links to him and Saudi as well, I think it's just a little bit too up in the air to bring him in, just in case. I don't think he moves this summer, but there is every possibility. So I think Matoma to Sterling and rolling and having 2 free transfers in the international break makes more sense for you, sir. Do I think Gvardiol starts? Well, a few Manchester City predictors in terms of the lineups on Twitter have definitely gone without him, so I'm not sure he does. Start a Kanji over Estepinian, I certainly would. You've done your move. Odegaard to Bowen. Good luck, Abdullah. Love the punt on it. I really do. But look, you don't win things by going template. This is just the reality. I've played it very, very safe, I think, overall so far. So good luck, my friend. GV, you think Matoma to Mbermo is a good move? In isolation, yes, but is it worth the -4? That's the question. I think if you're only doing Matoma to Mbermo as the free transfer, fine. I absolutely back that. I was very close. I considered Sterling, Maddison, and Mbermo. They were the 3 options that I was looking at this week. Rashford to Eze locked in, Arman. Oh my word. 8 home fixtures. You love players having home fixtures. Very nice. Very nice. It does make a difference for sure. Never underestimate the 12th man. How are we doing, Patrick? Welcome to the stream, my friend. Always late because always cooking around this time. Yeah, me and my wife ended up cooking at about 4:15, so an hour before the stream went live. What did you have for dinner, Patrick, out of curiosity? We had a lovely roast pork shoulder with some roasted vegetables, like a mini Sunday roast. It was lovely. Palace don't look the same without Zaha. I mean, Eze's doing very well though, Abdullah. I mean, the eye test and the data suggests he's more than capable of picking up that talisman role for them. But I do agree their attacking output is a little bit lacking so far. But I think it's only a matter of time before he kicks in. Very talented player. 6.5 mids seem to be better than 8.5 and 9 million mids, Arman says. Yeah. I mean, at the moment they are. They're outscoring everybody, right? Palace have to come good at some stage. I think they are from a defensive point of view, though. I've been really impressed with their defensive numbers. Their expected goals conceded are really low down. So I think that's to be expected, though, given the way they play overall. But I still think that Eze is the, that talisman pick as an option. I think if you went from him from game week 1, this Wolves fixture looks so good for him. You're making a bolognese. Lovely. Sounds good, Patrick. Sounds good. Samuel, you think you're going to bring in Mbermo for Matoma and Sterling for Martinelli? You would have loved to bring in Maddison, but the extra funds will help me next game week. And this is the thing. You've got to assess what you're able to do next week. I'm in a position where, because I own a 9 million midfielder in Rashford, I'm able to maybe move money and create money if I need to. So you've always got to assess your own team within a couple of weeks. So well done to you, Samuel. Good luck, my friend. Thoughts on Ansu Fati? Well, I mean, he's going to obviously take minutes off of Brighton attackers, right? I think he's a phenomenal talent, and it's been a solid bit of business from Brighton. I think it's an absolutely massive signing. But then they needed the depth because of the European fixtures they've got this year. So, let's see. Again, it's with everything in terms of deadline day, I'm always a wait and see on new signings. I will never jump on them immediately. The only difference to that was Haaland. He was probably the only player that I've ever had in my Game Week 1 squad that was a brand new player. How we doing, Jedi Stew? Welcome to the stream. You're desperate to get Maddison in, but last week's Foden transfers priced you out. You're rolling this game week. Interesting, mate. Interesting. I do think Maddison is going to be a very strong pick over these next few weeks. So I don't blame you for being desperate to get him in. Is there any route to him at all? You was tempted Saka to Maddison or even JWP. I think Saka might do well, though, against us this week, mate. I just think with a little bit of a left-back crisis, you know, no disrespect to Lindelof. I think he's a fantastic backup centre-back. Even Johnny Evans to some degree, right? Very experienced player, but I just feel like Arsenal are going to score goals against us at home. So I don't think, and Saka's usually involved, so I don't think I'd sell Saka. Seb, you're sorry, but you're done for this week because there's not really anything to do other than that Matoma to Maddison. You're locked in. You really like your team. Good luck to us all, and bye. Thank you very much, Seb, for tuning in. Appreciate it. It won't obviously be live streaming from Saturday onwards, or this week onwards, essentially until another Friday deadline or a midweek one. So, pleasure talking to you, Seb. We'll hopefully catch you in a video soon. Armand Panish transitions from defence to attack looks so silky, even though the final pass finish isn't happening right now. You agree they'll start clicking? Yeah, I do agree with that. Rasmus Højlund is fit and will play against Arsenal, I think, absolutely, by the sounds of the press conference. It could be a huge differential. I mean, look, he's 7 million, right? He hasn't dropped or anything. And of course, Jackson is, he's 7 million, so definitely could be a differential. Again, though, a bit of a wait and see. Like, I'm happy owning Bruno that will be sitting behind him. And of course, Rashford starting on the left, I think is just stronger overall for him. So I agree with you, though. He could be a fantastic asset. What's my wildcard plan if you have one? Well, the loose one would be around maybe wildcard around game week 9, something like that, when there's a few fixture swings. But honestly speaking, one of the reasons why I went for Maddison was because longer term, Maddison allows me to not have to press the button. Like, I always have a loose plan and I don't want to lock myself into it, right? So by having assets that still have very good fixtures from game week 9 onwards in my team now, as well as good fixtures now, bar maybe 1 or 2, I'm kind of happy with that. And just, I'll use it when I feel like I need to, is the honest truth, Armin. I made the mistake last year of thinking that I needed to kind of almost follow a specific route of like, okay, I'm locked into a game week 37 this. I'm doing this on game week 34. It's a must. I mean, I want to be a little bit more flexible if I can this year. Buy a replacement for a -4. Not sure I would do that, Timmy. I mean, what's your bench looking like? Any plan for a reaction stream or any other stream on any other weekday? I need to speak to my wife still about it, Abdullah. I mean, we've had a brief conversation about it, but ultimately, if she's happy on a Sunday after finishing work to be able to have the kids for, like an hour and a half or something for me to stream to you on a Sunday, or kind of a reaction to the Sunday evening game, then maybe I do that. But of course, you guys will get notified in Discord. You'll get notified if you've got the subscribe bell hit. So there is a plan to possibly do it, but I just don't know yet. RJ, your team looks strong. Good luck for this week. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with my squad this week. It's looking very good. Jedi, you've got Mo. If he defects to Saudi, it'll be like a free hit for me. Yeah, indeed. I mean, so much money tied up into Mo as well still, Jedi Stew, right? You could probably justify, especially if he goes to Saudi, right? You can just straight away get rid of him for a 7.5 mil mid. Or there and thereabouts. Patrick, he was not happy with the team because value of players rising. You swapped Bowen for Sterling and brought in Awani for Pedro and Mitchell for Estepinian. Wow. A -8, but bulletproof for the future, Patrick. I mean, that's huge, mate. Your team seems filled with differentials, bud, as well. Like, you've got Trent in there still. You've got Salah in there still. You've got Eze. Awani as well. Crazy. Sterling or Foden? I think I would go Sterling or Foden. For this week, I would say Foden. For longer term, though, or medium term, because rotation is always going to be a thing, I would say Sterling. But Foden against Fulham at home, man, I honestly can't look past him. You did exactly the opposite, and you put in Bowen. Okay, Dan, respect that. No worries. Like I say, I'll be transparent with all of you. But yeah, it's a shame because I really do like doing the streams. But the reality is, life, kids, family. It's just how it is. But I will do my best to try and bring something to you that's not just deadline streams. It just might not be weekly, right? It could be fortnightly, for example. So we'll see. And something that you struggle with is deciding when to use your wildcard. What signals do you look for when to use the wildcard? I mean, that's a very good question. I think for me, it's all about how many fires you've got to put out, right? So right now, I do probably have about 2 extra moves that I would maybe want to make. So, Gabriel is one of those pinch points. Estepinan's fixtures as well are looking a little bit nasty over the next few weeks, bar the Bournemouth one. So in reality, I've only got 2 players that I want to sell out of this squad. The rest of them I'm happy with. Maybe Pickford as well you could throw into the mix. So I think once you get into the territory of selling or wanting to sell at least 5 or 6 players out of your starting 15, then I think that's when you're in the territory of like, right, okay, I need to start thinking about pressing the button. Also as well, though, that's not the only thing. You've got fixture swings, you've got form. There's just so many different things that can help you judge it. But I will agree that it is a difficult thing to get right. It's nearly impossible to get right. Some people push the button in game week 2 and they're like, they stay top 5k, for example, for the rest of the season. It's just, sometimes it just works out perfectly for you and you get the informed players ahead of the time. But I think playing with your head is the most important thing, Armand. So, but anyway, I'm here through this season as always, mate. So hopefully I can help you. Steve List, hello, mate. Welcome to the stream. What's my thoughts on Archer Estepinian first off the bench? Thank you. I think I'd put Archer first bench option. I think against Everton, he could certainly do something. He's definitely a talent. Armand still holding on to Trent. Must be the most patient man alive. Your wife must be happy. Indeed. Sashin, is Ben Rama good to replace Watkins? Ben Rama isn't a forward, though, is he? He's listed as a midfielder. Not sure what you mean by that, Sashin. Sorry, my friend. Timmy, Bayer is on the bench. You just wanted to think about getting him out because he's injured. You was thinking about a -4 for Udogie. So if Bayer's on the bench, Timmy, there's no worth in getting the -4 because you're not playing him. It's only worth getting a -4 for a player that's going to make your starting 11, so don't worry about it. Unless Udogie comes in for one of your other defenders in terms of your starting 11. That's how you work it out. Forgot to talk about Pickford. He has been absolutely horrible pick. Yeah, it's just been pretty woeful. But then, like I've said in my team selection videos, right, Abdullah, who else has really done very well? Like Leno was in my draft for so long, and I just decided to remove him because I was like, I don't really like Fulham's fixtures. And then look, he's gone and smashed it. But the reality is there's not many picks that have done so much better than him. So I can't really complain too much. The goalkeeper's ceiling isn't massive. I'd much prefer to have a much stronger midfield or kind of front 7 than I would a 5 million goalkeeper. It just doesn't make sense to me. Armin, is Bowen still on penalties? I would expect him or Ben Rama to be, but I'm not 100% sure. They've not really got very good... Oh yeah, Paqueta as well. Paqueta took the last one, didn't he? Looked cool and calm as well. GV, Smith Rowe, what's the prediction for him this season at Arsenal? He's just gone completely under the radar, isn't he? He's just been left out by Arteta. I think he probably needs to move on if he wants continuous football. No worries, Steve. Hope that helped. 1.2 million people triple captain Haaland last week. Really feeling bad for them. Yes, that's a killer. Not the week to do it. Sashin, no, you mean to replace Watkins as a substitute. Interesting. I mean, I actually don't think this is a terrible fixture for Watkins, if I'm honest. There's no Virgil van Dijk. Aston Villa have looked really good in the final third in terms of their progressive play, and Liverpool haven't been very good at the back with Virgil van Dijk, let alone without him. So I'm not so sure. I mean, that Ben Rama against Luton fixture looks really good as well, but I don't know, man. Watkins is a nailed minutes minutes. Nailed for minutes, really, as well, right? Over Benrahma. So I think I play Watkins there. Abdullah, Areola and Flecken have been good. I mean, yeah, Areola, I suppose, but I was never going to start Areola and Turner in my squad. I was never going to have 2 4 million goalkeepers. I just wasn't that brave. I'm expected Pickford to get more save points. He's got 0, indeed. He's absolutely had a woeful start to the season. No worries, Timmy. Hope that helps. Also, Matt Turner might not be the #1 goalkeeper at Forest now. New signing has been made, indeed. There's just so much activity happening in the transfer market this window. It's just throwing so many things out of order. But let's see. For now, I'm really happy. I'm really happy owning Turner and Pickford. I don't want to make a free transfer in the goalkeeping position at the moment. You know, if this is a wild card, he's not in the team. It's just as simple as that. Or both of them probably aren't in the team. Vicario has also been good. I agree with that. From the eye test point of view, he's been very good for Spurs. You wouldn't start anyone at Anfield. I don't know, Armin. I'm not sure. Watkins has been a bit of a... I don't know. He's been a bit of a thorn in their side in years gone by, if I remember rightly. Never again since Bowen's missed pen when I owned him last season. Yeah. Right, shall we have a look to see what's cooking in the Twitterverse? We got any news or anything? I mean, it's West Ham Luton, I suppose, right? Any more from Fabrizio? We got any last minute sign-ins here? Divock Origi to Forest. Here we go. Has been tweeted. Divock Origi back in the Premier League, mate. He could be a massive differential. He's already undergoing secret medical tests as a new Forest player. Told loan deal includes buy option clause valid in June 2024. Mate, that's going to be one. That is going to be one to be watching. If he gets first team football, like Origi for Liverpool was, he always cropped up with goals. Very interesting. João Palhinha deal is now 100% off. Very interesting. Fulham tried last minute for Scott McTominay, but no deal on the player side, and Palhinha will return to Fulham. I think that's absolutely huge for Fulham. I mean, I think that actually that impacts, I suppose, probably how defensively better they'll be able to perform at the Etihad with him. It just depends on where his head's at. Johnny Evans signed with United. Gravenberch straight in to Liverpool. Very interesting. Definitely a couple of last minute things though there. Forest dressing room might be bigger than most houses, mate. There's Chelsea's, right? They've got. It just feels like they've got so many players on their books now. Like they signed, was it something like 21 players last summer? Crazy. Bowen bench. I'm trolling. I've got some of you probably did get a few people there, yeah. Sash in your team this game week: Edison, Disasi, Estepinian, Romero, Diaz, Bruno, Imbermo, Rice, Benrahma, Jackson, and Haaland. Interesting. So you've gone for Benrahma over Watkins in the end. Well, good luck to you, my friend. Did I have one free transfer this week? I certainly did, Judy. Yes. Used my one free transfer. So I'll only have one after the international break in game week 5, but not ideal. But we'll see how we get on. This has been the best transfer window considering surprises and moves in the last 10 years. Honestly, I think it's been fantastic. It's been a great transfer window. At GV, well, I'm playing this gamble because they have a fixture against Luton. I mean, I do agree with that. You are targeting a much better fixture. On paper, Watkins against Liverpool looks like it won't return as much. But I'm just not sure. I feel like Watkins could outscore Benrahma this week. 24 players Forest signed last summer. I knew it was in the 20s. That's absolutely ludicrous. 24 players. I mean, they haven't been as active this summer, but yeah, that Origi move is intriguing. Good luck to him. Good luck to him. Like I say, Polina is probably the biggest one, really. That was one where I was thinking this Fulham fixture could be an absolute whitewash for a City, but now that they've done a bit of a U-turn and he's back in the team. He hands down is one of the best centre defensive midfielders in the Premier League. He's so good. I see Reguilon in with Ten Hag. Lovely stuff. Right, any last minute dilemmas, guys? It just feels like a really nice, easy, steady game week this week. You know, I made my move on Thursday, I think it was. Sorry, Wednesday. Relegation sides signing players for 20 mil plus is just unreal. How has inflation hit football this badly? Certainly, mate. Just so much money in the game now. Foden or Maddison, Matoma out. Depends how far you're looking on the horizon. I'm going to go Foden over Maddison, just about. But I must admit, I really like Maddison as a pick. Since I've seen him in this Spurs shirt, everything is going through him. So equally, they are really good picks, my friend. Sashin, that's why I seriously consider JWP for tonight, but West Ham fixtures are not nice going forward. Indeed, Stu. This is the only problem. Doesn't mean they can't do well, though, because their fixtures in the past 2 weeks haven't exactly been very good, and they've still done well. Chelsea and Brighton still come away with 6 points out of that. Maupay is a done deal to Brentford. Interesting. What would you say are the teams that should be targeted and teams that can be tougher to beat than people say? What would I say that the teams that should be targeted? I think you always can be happy in the knowledge that with newly promoted teams, there are always going to be areas or teams that you can target. So in this case, Sheffield United, Burnley, and Luton can certainly be targeted. I actually think Fulham is a fixture that we target now because their XGC is massive. They have not performed well at all at the back. So I'm definitely going to throw Fulham into that mix as well. So that's 4 teams for you already. Maybe one more. Let's have a look. Let's have a look at the data again. I'm sure there's another club with like 8 expected conceded goals or something like that. Let me have a look. Wolves as well. I think Wolves are another team. Wolves and Bournemouth probably. I think we've probably got at least, that they could be the bottom 7 clubs, 6 clubs that I've reeled off there. I don't think Fulham are going to have as good of a season this season without Mitro keeping them up. I mean, if they lost Polina, I certainly would have put them in the bottom of relegation battle. But now they've managed to keep him, I'm not so sure. I still think I would target them though. And then I think in terms of teams that are tougher for people to beat than people say, I'm going to go Crystal Palace and Forest. Honestly, Forest's defensive numbers and capability, I know Man United beat them 3-2 in the end, but their defensive capabilities are very, very good. They've gone up in my estimation. And then I think Palace as well. Maybe Brentford you could throw into the mix as well. They're very solid at the back defensively. So I think there's a couple of teams as well that just be aware that even though they're marked as very low difficulty fixtures, they're still very, very good teams. Reguilon to Man United is the scariest transfer. You don't know how you're building the back four until our main starters recover. Indeed, it's literally last chance saloon, isn't it, really? Luke Shaw's out till December as well, by the looks of it. So who knows? Let's just hope that we can get some form of control in the midfield like Ten Hag wants with Amrabat. That's the only thing that I can think of, and we just try to keep a little bit of more possession. It's the only way that we're going to stop goals going in the back of our net. Midfield is Foden, Maddison, Eze, Bruno and Saka. Very, very strong midfield there, Armand. Very good. Everton should surely go down. You've got no sympathy for them. They really took bad decisions. That's true as well, Everton. I forgot. I mean, I'm not even back in Pickford here. I just forgot that Everton had just been so woeful. Abdullah, did you transfer in Bowen? No, I don't think he did in the end. Or did he? I think he went Rashford to Eze, if I'm not mistaken. Mark Sakito, one free transfer. You got Flecken, Estu, Saliba, Colwill, Chilwell. Mbermo, Mitoma, Salah, Saka, Bruno, Haaland. With Turner, Pedro, Oshola and Kabore on the bench. So Kabore to Udogie and bench Saliba for Udogie. I actually think I would go Saliba to Udogie rather than Kabore to Udogie, to be honest. I don't think Arsenal have been very good defensively. I think that's the move I would make there. If you want to do a defensive transfer, I mean, for me, because of that midfield, right, you've got Mitoma in there. So depending on how much money you've got in the bank, Mark, Mitoma could also be the sold individual there for me. And then play a back three of Estu, Colwill and Chilwell. You bench Saliba, you bench Kabore, and you sell Mitoma for somebody, like a Sterling or Maddison for me, or Foden. Everton should be targeted. I think so, Adrian. Yeah, they're not very, very good at all. Brennan Johnson moves to Tottenham for 50 million. Indeed, could be a great differential. Probably puts a bit of risk to Richarlison as well, to be honest, because I actually think Johnson plays very well. Iwobi moves to Fulham, indeed. Danny Paul, you're on a bench boost, but you have Mo Salah and 200 million bid incoming. Should you keep him for this weekend? I mean, it's very difficult to say, right? I mean, Liverpool, in terms of the reports, Liverpool are saying we're not going to be budged. There's no money that can take him away, but £200 million. He could still move by the 7th of September, guys. So I do think Salah's a little bit of a risk. Maybe not for this week though. Maybe he's okay for this week, and then I would consider moving him on maybe next week if the links get stronger. What's left in Everton now? I mean, they're just being gutted completely. Estepinian, Saliba to Udogie or Roll? I think Saliba to Udogie is okay. I do like him against Burnley, even though it's away. I think this is a strong fixture for him. Would I start Estepinian or Gvardiol? Probably start Gvardiol, even though there's been talk of him not starting. I think you take the punt that they're wrong, because Estepinian has too much of a tricky fixture against Newcastle, in my opinion. If I had the option here for a little bit of a stronger starter over Estepinian, say somebody else instead of Gabriel or Kabore, I probably would play them over Estu this week. Forest have signed 3 players in 40 minutes. It's just going batshit crazy over there, isn't it? Salah is priceless for Liverpool. Don't see him leaving at all. I completely agree with you, Armin. There's no way that he leaves, because there's no way. They've said they're going to stick to their guns and say, look, no amount of money is going to pull him away from us. And also they have no room to sign anybody else to replace him. Like, I know they've got very, very strong attacking players, but I can't see it. GV agrees to start Gvardiol. Usually Man City don't substitute defenders, so if Gvardiol misses, Estepinian becomes the auto sub. Completely agree with that play. Abdullah, everything has a price, and you think 200 million is enough for Liverpool to let him go? I mean, it's so interesting, isn't it? How is one player going to bring in 200 million pounds? Crazy. I mean, it's not as if he's leaving on a bad footing though, right? Like he's left a bit of a legacy at Liverpool. He's done very, very well for them. So if he does go, then fair play to him. But I mean, £200 million for one player. It's just nuts. Sport Cat, welcome back, my friend. You agree there are plenty of attackers. Indeed. Team locked in a few days ago. Good stuff, mate. Good stuff. Likewise for me, really. It's been a really chill stream for me. No stress. No real team news to worry about. But I will keep checking Twitter for you guys just in case there's anything for any West Ham or Luton players that are interested. You're interested in knowing if they're starting or missing out. Bournemouth for closing in on a deal to sign Patson Daka. Wow. Could be an interesting one. Deadline day is just so funny, and it's just players that have not even been linked from one club to another just all of a sudden just appear out of nowhere. I absolutely love it. So good. So good. Saudi will do everything to bring him. He's the most popular Arab player ever, and they would like to bring him in. I mean, you're not wrong. They will try to push. They're going to test Liverpool's resolve to the very last minute. I couldn't agree more. Adrian, how would I rate Brighton defensively, offensively among Brentford, Villa, and among Liverpool, Newcastle? Quite a long question. Yeah, it is quite detailed, Adrian, I suppose, or it warrants a detailed answer. I think Brighton at the moment are very open at the back, so I don't rate them massively defensively, but I do think it will improve. That being said, though, they have got a very, very tricky situation with European fixtures this year. So offensively, I think I always will rate Brighton. I think their football is really, really slick on the eye. I think the statistics and the shots on target warrant owning some of their players. Just unfortunately, it's always fixture dependent, which is why I sold Matoma this week. So yeah, I think defensively they're much better than defensively. If I was to try and match them to Brentford, Villa, and Liverpool, Newcastle, I really think they all play very different styles of football, Adrian. So it's hard to tell. But I do like De Zerbi as a manager. I think he's done phenomenal things at the club. Coutinho looked priceless as well for Liverpool, and they spent the money on Van Dijk, Alisson, so who knows what happens. That is true. Start Estepinian or Colwill. Sportcat, I think I would start Colwill. I know he walked off, I think, with a possible little knock, but I just think they've got the better fixture against Forest there. Hiya, Jack. Interesting question. Would I rather start Archer or João Pedro? I actually think that Archer is a great shout. Like, if you're not going to play him, if you're going to play him in a game week, surely it's this game week against Everton. I think he's a really good young talent as well. So I would take the gamble maybe. The only thing with João Pedro now is that Welbeck is also injured. So Enciso's out for 4 months. Welbeck's also injured. So his competition looks like they're pretty much out, which means JP should start. And as mentioned, I really do like Brighton from an attacking point of view. So something to bear in mind. The transfer deadline day is really annoying you. Why is that, buddy? I think it's amazing. Daka joins which club? It hasn't been confirmed yet, but it looks like Bournemouth are in for him, GV. Armin, you swear every time you refresh your Twitter page, it's full of here we goes. Forest have signed a 4th player in 45 minutes. Madness. Madness. Fabrizio must just literally be sitting there just constantly on his phone, just tweet, 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 tweet. He's a legend, though, for bringing all of it to us. I love it. I love the here we goes. Can you have a look at your team? I replied to your pinned tweet. Seth, it's probably easier if you just talk to me on here, bud, rather than me. Because I think that pinned tweet was from ages ago, right? That was from not last week, the week before. Apparently, Maddison is benched. Where have you heard this information, though, Seth? Where does that come from? That just sounds like prime troll territory. Like, there's no way that we get information this early on for that. There's just no way. They play on the 3 o'clock kickoff tomorrow. If he gets benched, man, that would just be horrendous. And thank God Cancelo to Barca is happening. One less City defender to worry about. That's true. Although I don't think he would have got game time under Pep anyway. Cole was fine, 100% fit. He was not listed as one of the injuries in the injury article for tomorrow. Poch also said he just needed ice on it. Fine. I think Cole will gets the nod for me. You think it's trolls? I'm almost 100% certain that that's bullshit. I would call that out immediately. Like, where are they getting that information from? You know, this is one of the most... If we look at the status page, right, Maddison is the second most transfer in with 920,000 managers bringing him in. It doesn't surprise me that Twitter will try to find a way, or people will try and find a way to troll people and say, oh no, he's benched. Sorry, boys. Nah, not for me. If it was the 8 o'clock kickoff tonight, then maybe we could have a conversation, but nah. No one's getting news of him being benched on a 3 o'clock kickoff tomorrow. He was benched in the cup game. That is true. He came on for about 10 minutes, I believe. Thanks. You really love Brighton's offence. They seem to score more than your team. They definitely score more than United. And yeah, that's right. They're not a 1-0 clean sheet team. They are a little bit gun ho. And if you know what I mean by that, it's literally they just absolutely just always pedal to the metal, full throttle, try and score more goals than their opponent. It just unfortunately leaves them a little bit more exposed at the back, as we've seen with the West Ham game, for example. Sportcats, your team is Onana, Colwill, Chilwell and Udogie. Very good back line. Love that. Onana's questionable, of course, as we mentioned, but all good. Maddison in Burmo, Saka, Odegaard, Foden, Jackson and Haaland. 3.1 million in the bank. Love it. Love it. Maddison, Sterling, Foden or Eze to replace Martinelli if you already have Nicholas Jackson. It's very, very close. I mean, this is the hot topic of this week, isn't it, really, Seth? I've obviously gone for Maddison here while already owning Foden. I think Maddison and Foden are my preferences over Sterling. I think Sterling does look very good on the eye, but his data just isn't as good as some of the other players there, or Maddison and Foden specifically. So you have the exact same number of points as me, but you're ranked 415k. Shows how condensed the points are. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's absolutely madness. I mean, if we take a look at live FPL, we can actually see down here. I can't zoom in, unfortunately. But this here, hopefully you can see it on the screen. I don't know, it's very small, so forgive me. But I'm 1 point away from 400k. But I'm 20 points away from 25k. Equally, I'm 25 points, nearly 27 in fact, away from 3 million. So it just goes to show that, like, you know, a 20-point swing on one game week can net you a 400k of 375k green arrow. Is absolutely madness. This is why I'm saying that ranks for me now don't matter. It's all about game week 5 onwards, 6-ish, something like that. Once we've used more free transfers, the international break's finished, Europe starts kicking off. There's so much more to think about then. I'm looking forward to it. We live for it, don't we? We live for it. And your sister chose a random team last week and did better than you. I love to see it. I love to see it. I mean, when my kids get older, I suppose the game will probably change quite a substantial amount by that time, but I'm definitely going to get them involved and watch them beat me every year. Like you said in a comment of the previous vid, it'd be interesting to see what happens with Chilwell with Palmer in the squad. I do agree with this. However, Palmer's not going to get embedded in for a little while. I just don't think he comes straight in. You're aiming for a 200k finish in your second season. I think that's respectable. I think you'll do better than that, mate. I think you'll do better than that. Abdullah, this season people have used chips very early, even some experts. Indeed, I mean, bench boosts, wildcards have already been popped. I'm definitely going to try and play my most patient season yet. I mean, I can't remember how many hits I had last season total, but it really wasn't that much. And I'm going to try and do the same this season as well. Only really use chips when I feel like I need to, especially the key ones like wildcards. And maybe not put so much pressure on myself to get the best team for a bench boost. Like, it doesn't matter if I've got 4 million players in my team, for example. Like, if I think that they've got good fixtures, then just play it. Definitely going to try and change my strategy a little bit this year. You reckon Foden should start versus Fulham? I think so. I think so. And she randomly chose Anderson, Jose Sarr and Nunez, who all got double-digit hauls. I mean, Darwin coming off the bench and scoring 2 goals. That's just prime luck. Seth spoke a coin flip for Foden and Madders. I mean, are you on Discord, Seth? I've got a dedicated coin flip channel, mate. City have done terrific business. 45 million for a player who has only started once in the Premier League. You think Chelsea have got scammed by City? I mean, this is the thing when you've got such a good academy setup, though, Abdullah. You've invested so much money into your youth teams that you're able to sell players like that, but also keep them out of your starting 11s because you've got such a strong squad. You don't need Cole Palmer. So you can offload him for such a big amount of money because he was fantastic for the England under-21s. And this is all because of City's facilities. You know, let's not get it twisted. Like, you are, in terms of like Manchester clubs, like at the moment, your facilities are 10 times better than United's. So I don't think Chelsea have got scammed. I think that they've got a very good player, maybe not for 45 million quid. Wouldn't maybe have gone that high, but every week, if you get a game week rank of 500k, you could finish the season very, very high. Absolutely, mate. Even probably higher than that. If you're in the top million in terms of every game week, which is nigh on impossible, by the way, because there's just too many players that pick random teams, then yes, you would finish very, very high. You said this in a Discord server and you had the exact same issue last season. Green arrows in every league apart from my 2 mini leagues. Mental. What can I say? The competition is strong. Competition is strong, my friend. Palmer's got potential. You believe in him. I'd also believe that. What's my realistic prediction of United versus Arsenal? I can honestly see like a 3-2 again, mate. I can honestly see 3-2 United, 3-2 Arsenal. I think there's going to be so many goals in this game. Old Trafford is falling down. do. I mean, this is the reality. Like, we need major investment. If we did get new owners finally in October or whatever, I think it's being spoken about, then maybe we start improving our infrastructure. But at the moment, you know, City are miles ahead because you've had the money for the past 4 or 5 years. George Kent, hello, sir. Any news? Well, it depends what you're looking for, really. News on what? Signings? Just Fabrizio Romano's your man? If you want to know starting lineups, apparently Mr. FPL Raptor has said that his source has said Gavardio is not starting. Grealish is apparently benched, and Doku apparently starts. Akanji, Foden, and Alvarez all start. Tim Ream's suspension replacements. Adogi. All day long, mate. The super destiny. Super destiny. Glazers should think of the club and leave. Well, they just need to leave. They've done too much damage to us. Hudson-Odoi moved to Forest. He was our top scorer in our squad as well before, even though he never played. I mean, Foden. Yes, mate. I think he's in. It could be massive. Honestly, he could go huge against Fulham. He could go huge. Should we just... let's just have a little look. Where is the fellow Baldy? Raptor. Is he still live or not? Because I want to hear him talk about it. He hasn't actually brought Foden in though, so even though he said Foden starts, he hasn't done it. Well, at least he's not showing it on stream yet. Why didn't you take Cucurella? I mean, don't ask me. United's backroom staff are shite. So we've taken Reggie on instead. It was Tails, Maddison, it is. Maddison, it is, Seth. Foden is a differential. People were talking about Sterling and Maddison and forgetting about Foden. I think it's the freeway conversation. I think he is part of it. You went away to United for the derby 2 seasons ago, and the stadium stunk, and there were so many random leaks and cracks. Oh yeah, no, of course, it's falling apart, mate. There's no doubt about it that it needs investment. Interesting. 3 minutes left. 3 minutes left. He did earlier. FPL mate also showed the same picture. Fair enough. Fair enough. It's just interesting because he absolutely loves Foden. So I'm just not sure why he's doing it, unless he's hesitating because he wants to play Rashford against Arsenal. That's my only thing. Basically got the team I have, but Watkins and Sterling for Rashford and Jackson. Strong team. Okay, so I see. He's. I've just gone back on the history of the tweet. So it's not actually 100% locked in that Foden starts, Gvardiol's benched, and so on. This is just somebody, I guess, somebody that's either close to City in terms of links, or understands how they're going to line up a little bit earlier. But it's not actually 100% confirmed or not. The game is too far away, right? It's 3 o'clock tomorrow, I guess. Are we locked in? No, 1 minute to go, I suppose. You think FPL mate posted the predicted league lineups on his Twitter? Yeah, I can see a predicted one, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's right. I mean, I hope it's right because it has Foden and Haaland in it, which is the main thing for me. But let's see. Fingers crossed. But I just don't think Raptors doing the Foden move, which I'm surprised at because he was talking about him most of the week. Locked and ready to go for a brilliant Bowen goal. Well, good luck, Abdullah. I think that's such a brave move for you. Such a brave move. But I can see it being a massive win. Massive win for you. Last second captain switch from Haaland to Haaland. Indeed, mate. Are we done then? We're done. Right, let's tweet this shit out. And then we can get on to talking to you boys about what we're doing. About what we're doing. Game week 4. I'll be with you shortly, boys. Hold on. What's my overall rank? 470k. Mitoma to Madison. Haaland captain, overall ranks. We need that emoji. Boom. Bosh. Right, we're tweeted. Pin. Done. Right, where's the chat? Where am I at? When does the window close? I think it's a couple of hours, right? I don't think it's too far. International break as well. Damn. Abdullah Dan, love your energy in these lengthy streams. Well, trust me, it's not just that. I work full time as well, by the way. I've got 2 babies, well, 2 kids. I sometimes surprise myself, but I appreciate that it's been recognised, my friend. Anyone watching the biggest match of the year, Pakistan versus India cricket match? No, not for me. No, it's awful. You was about to say, pal, absolute weirdo if you actually did. Dan's graphics are very clear. I am Abdullah, currently watching England versus New Zealand. Interesting. Lots of cricket fans in the chat by the looks of it. 11 p.m, you think the window closes? Sounds about right. Right. So, I guess before I sign off, we'll just talk about what's happening. So many of you have listened to me ramble on about this enough now, I suppose, but I will say again that this, unfortunately, is going to be the last deadline stream for a little while. For those that didn't know or haven't tuned in before, my wife has now got a weekend job, which means that I can't do Saturday deadline streams as I'm with my kids Saturday and Sundays. So I'm thinking about possibly doing some Sunday streams, maybe an hour or 2 after some football, potentially. Not every week, but it is a potential possibility. Obviously, I'm gutted to not be able to do the live streams again. It is something that I really enjoy. I love engaging with the community directly instead of just doing the long form videos, but it is what it is. My regular content is going nowhere. I'm still going to be able to edit videos and create them during the week, but unfortunately, my live streams are going to be at an end. So it's a shame, but it is what it is. In terms of the next few weeks, I am going on holiday with my family on the 20th of September for 2 weeks. So there will be a little bit of reduction in content over these next few weeks. I'm also away with work next week. Life is just ramping up over these next 4 weeks, guys. So the content will be a little bit dry in comparison to usual, but that doesn't mean I'm gone anywhere. Still going to be with you for the season. So just be patient with me and I will try my best to get back to you as soon as I can. But I hope you've enjoyed the stream. I really enjoy doing them. Like I say, I'm gutted to have to stop doing them for now, but doesn't mean that in the future I won't be doing more. But yeah, thank you very much for tuning in as always, guys. I am going to sign it off there. Good luck to all of you for the game week as always. I'll try and put out a team selection video at least next week, but as I'm away with work in hotels and God knows what else, I'm not at my PC or my normal computer to create the content. So we'll see how that goes. Beyond that, as I say, the content should only dry up around my holiday period. So, as I say, good luck for the game week. Thank you very much for supporting the channel, as always, boys. And yeah, good luck this game week. Thank you very much. See you later.